1 year away from the most exciting election in modern Florida history, the races for governor and U.S. Senate take dramatic new turns. And Governor Chris shores up his campaign and gets a new chief of staff. All of that on Power Play this week with our guests, Mark Caputo of the Miami Herald and Josh Haffenbach of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Okay, so polls are out. It's showing an amazing tightening in the race for the U.S. Senate between Governor Charlie Crist and Marco Rubio. What's behind that?
Rubio's effort and Crist's decision to back the stimulus package, which conservatives hate. Rubio's traveling the state. He's doing the chicken dinner circuit. He's letting people know, in his words, Crist isn't a real conservative. Rubio is. And it seems to be working.
Josh, isn't it somewhat predictable that a 30-point lead when there is an actual candidate running against you is going to dwindle down? It's still double digits. Is the governor particularly worried?
Oh, I think he is. I mean, you know, you saw him move his chief of staff from chief of staff to running his campaign.
Eric Eichenberg, campaign manager.
He's on the air aggressively across the state with radio spots almost a year out.
Well, he's campaigning, but wouldn't you say a $5 million lead in fundraising is going to help the governor measurably more so than the right wing of the Republican Party is helping Rubio?
That's right. I mean, money is huge in a TV state like Florida, but you have to also consider that this race is getting national publicity. Joe Klein from Time Magazine was in town last week, wrote a story, and the more it goes national, the more Rubio becomes a cause celeb for conservatives.
Okay, and the move of Eichenberg, the chief of staff, to campaign manager, very significant as Shane Strum ascends to chief of staff.
I guess, you know, the governor's office is kind of runs on its own. You know, Shane Strum...
I've worked in a couple. They don't actually run on their own. Someone has to administer the government.
That's true. Yeah, and lately, we're going to have a piece that's going to move on the web soon. Charlie Crist hasn't been doing as much administration of government as we would have thought. You know, since he's been sworn in, we see he's taken about 145.5 work days off or not scheduled any work time. So it's been quite a balance there. He's been doing a lot of campaigning, and now Shane Strum has to step in and fill the void. Strum has had his own employment issues or his own work no-show issues. He was on the Broward Hospital District and didn't show up for basically 2 years.
Oh, you're a hard-nosed guy.
I'm just holding him accountable for what he's supposed to do.
Shane's well-liked and his position pretty good, according to what some in government are saying, to handle it. And Eichenberg's a very seasoned political guy.
Yep. Eichenberg ran George Lemieux's first failed campaign for the state legislature.
He did lose that.
Real quickly,
let's clear something up, though. I mean, the Crist campaign decided to run radio ads on conservative radio, where the electorate or those people basically don't like him. And as we featured, there was a radio show host in Naples, Fort Myers, who ripped on the ad, said it made her want to, quote, swallow vomit. So I don't think his campaign is necessarily running very smoothly.
There's a nice piece of imagery for our listeners and viewers. Thanks a lot, Mark, for that. Quickly, let's go to the Democratic side of that race, where former Miami Mayor Maurice Ray, 74 years old, says he's really going to run a campaign against Congressman Kendrick Meek. How serious could it be, quickly?
Well, it's hard to see it as anything but a long shot. Kendrick Meek had an endorsement from Alex Sink the other day. He's raised a fair amount of money. He's got $3 million plus. It seems like he's going to be a heavy favorite in that primary.
On the governor's race side of this, Sink McCollum, we see one poll where McCollum's got this widening double-digit lead, another one where it's within the margin of error.
Oh, well, I think it's the chamber poll that shows McCollum a little farther out. It just...
Not a surprise. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know, but... McCollum should be ahead because he's been in more races.
And she's got more money, so it's going to be a competitive race.
She's got more money. She seems to be doing a lot better fundraising than he is, despite the fact that he's a known commodity who's been on a ballot a bunch of times. And his lead does not look that commanding. Okay, well, it's all politics on Power Play as we go to your respective Power Plays of the week. Josh.
I'm going to go with State Senator Ted Deutsch, who is looking like almost a lock, or certainly a very heavy favorite to replace Robert Wexler, who abruptly resigned from Congress. Deutsch represents that district. He's picked up a ton of endorsements from political power players down in South Florida, and he's looking very, very strong to take that seat.
Well, the Wexler announcement itself, as you say, was somewhat stunning. Mark?
I was thinking Marco Rubio, but I'm going to go House Speaker Larry Creedle wrote a letter to the Indian Gaming Commission saying we're at impasse with the Seminoles. We basically can't negotiate in good faith with them anymore. Stop the Seminoles from having card games and even slot machines. I think that's a pretty
it's a letter that might have all the force of a burp in a hurricane now.
Well, especially with the Indian Gaming Commission, which is composed of 3 members. Right now it has only 2 members, and so it certainly looks like it's going to end up before one court or another, and perhaps the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately.
All right, Mark Caputo, Josh Haffenbach, thank you very much. For the latest political news, go to the Safety Review, and we'll see you next time on Power Play.